Welcome to the Real Judo Show with your hosts, Olympians Steve Cohen and Jason Morris.
USA Judo did a post the other day, and they posted the Olympians from current to 92. And I saw it, and of course, I don't know if it was early in the morning. I think I called you right away. It irritated me so much. To do the 3 minutes of work to make sure you include every Olympian is nothing, and no one took the time. Not only that, the pictures are readily available. There's not a lot of good pictures. I mean, there's a good picture of you on the podium, but I mean, there's not a good picture of Kevin on the podium. I have a great picture of the flags when Kevin's on the podium with the American flag #2. And I don't know why I have that one, but I do. But I mean, there's not any really good pictures of there's nothing of Alan Coach on the podium. None of the girls, Lynn or Margie.
Have you ever seen a picture of Swain on the podium? I've never seen one.
No, you know why?
Oh, yeah.
Gareth Brown.
Kareth was on the podium, but didn't they stage a photo later somewhere?
If they did, I've never seen it. I've never seen it. It's a shame. And you know, Mike, with his pride, he wouldn't have wanted to go back out there. They may have asked, "No, I'm not going to take another picture." You know what I mean? He didn't care.
And I've seen a picture of Liddy on the podium. I actually have one. It's pretty good. Bobby, have you ever seen a good picture of him on the podium?
Yeah. I have a picture of him on the podium, of him holding his hand up. And I have a great video from TV of Bobby all the way winning all his matches in the Olympics. You know, I'm doing my story on the 80 Olympics right now too, and there's no question that there were people missing from the 80 and 84 Olympics. It still was no cakewalk all the way up there. The guys that won, you know, were studs. There were some upsets, but still in 80, Parisi won, and Gamba won, and Tabarelli won. You know, the guys that won in LA was Saito and Yamashita, Seisenbacher. There were some guys that in both Olympics that could have won at any different time. Now, certainly in 80, Yamashita would have been hard to beat, and so would have Saito. But I mean, Parisi was good enough at that time, you know. So I mean, who knows? You know, who knows?
Now I'm thinking about it. Is Belgium not part of our network? How did he fight in 80 and also 84?
So here's the thing: is that the countries that boycotted, if I'm not mistaken, allowed athletes to go on their own, because you would think an American boycott would definitely include Great Britain because of how close we are. France, you know, I mean, Terry Ray won the lightweight division. You know,
same thing with Vanderwall then, obviously, right?
Vanderwall, yep. You know, I mean, Parisi was from France, and he fought for a gold medal in the open division too, and he lost. He could have had 2 gold medals at Olympics, which is pretty cool. But my point is that I you know, for me, it's a pet peeve, and I know it is for you, is that we don't talk about our history as much as we should. And regardless of whether judo was a demonstration sport in '64, you know, Jim Bregman, you know, went to Japan in 1960 on a one-way ticket and lived there at a time that's hard to imagine, considering when we were there in the 80s, we thought it was torture. And can you imagine in 1960? You know, it had to be challenging, and what a sacrifice to make to go there, go to school there, and come back, and that. So it shouldn't be. If you're going to tell the story, you need to tell the whole story. Leaving Bobby out, I mean, Bobby, you know, Bobby's story is a fantastic story. He was in the hospital like a month before the Olympics with a knee infection after a minor surgery, and they didn't know if he was going to make the Olympics. He actually, someone who had to cut weight all the time, he got so thin in there, he had to gain weight coming back. So it was it was a real challenge for him. And of course, he played his best judo, and
Well,
was fortunate.
and for those who don't know, I mean, Steve and I are both big fans of the game. We're quite versed on the history of the game. We're learning more every day, but just for out there in real judo land. So we started with 1964 was Jim Bregman. He won a bronze medal at the 64 Olympics in Tokyo, right? And I believe his division was 80 kilos.
I think it was 80. It was middleweight. There were only 4 divisions then.
That's correct.
Actually, the 80 Olympics was the first Olympics that they opened it up.
So then
they really spread out. Yeah.
After 64, 68, there was no Olympics for judo. And then it came in 72. No medals there, correct?
Correct.
76, Alan Coage won the plus bronze medal.
Yep.
And then 80, of course, nothing there. Then we go 84, Ed Liddy took bronze at 60. And Bob Berlin, who you're talking about now, took a bronze at 86 kilos.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to say that even though it was not, that there was a boycott in 84. I mean, Liddy did beat the West German and the French to make it to the bronze medal to get the bronze medal, which is not a small feat. And of course, Bobby beat Great Britain and Brazil, and Carmona in Brazil was really good. So I mean, they still had a path to go that wasn't so easy. Again, everyone wasn't there. Certainly, Ultra wasn't there, which Bobby was happy about. But I mean, I'm just saying that they still had a mountain to climb to get there. No small feat.
So then 88, we have Kevin Asano. Again, it was 60
Mike
kilos.
Swain. Yeah.
Silver. Swain gets the bronze in 71. 92 was myself at 78 kilos. In 96 was Jimmy Pedro, 71 kilos. 2000, no medals.
Right.
4, Jimmy comes back, gets a bronze at 70. Now it's 73 kilos.
Yep.
08, we get Ronda Rousey bronze.
Yep.
In 12, we get the mother load. Kayla Harrison wins a gold. And Marty Malloy takes a bronze.
Bronze. Yep.
And then 16 was Kayla did it again.
And Travis.
And that leads us to today.
And Travis. Kayla and Travis.
Oh, right? Sorry. And Travis.
Yeah. Kayla and Travis. Yep. Yep. And I got to tell you.
Travis with the silver.
Travis won a silver. Right.
Interesting.
And
fact,
even
Stevie, on very irrelevant fact, but interesting. Myself, Bobby, Travis in the finals. Oh, and Kevin Asano, our 4 silvers. We all lost to lefties. Interesting, right? Seisenbacher's a lefty.
Sure is.
That Kim Kevin's guy, the lefty. Although Kevin was also a lefty, so that's the little different. I already said Seisenbacher. Yoshida was a lefty, and Kalamarev, the guy Travis fought, was also a lefty.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
It's interesting that it's also interesting that there's a dynamic, and we don't have to talk about this today, about when you win that semifinal match, there is an air of relief that you feel that you've made it. And we'll talk about that in another show, about how we talk about champions and how they get there. And sometimes it takes more than one trip there to get there. But the truth is certainly with you and Jimmy, you guys won so many tournaments throughout the years, so many, and there weren't near as many as now. Not near as many. There was a Worlds every other year. But I mean, I was with you and I was with Jimmy. And when I wasn't with you, I was following you and talking to you. I mean, it's, having one great day, and it takes nothing away from anybody, but being consistent in judo. And with all due respect to women, for men, where there's so many men, so many styles, so many different And we fought in a time where they can grab your legs and hang on to your pants. My God, it was hard. It was different. So the amount of wins that you have and Jimmy has is just, and Bobby did too. Bobby won a lot too, but not as much as you and Jimmy, but Bobby won a lot too.
Well, wouldn't you
So
say basically each champion paved a pathway for better understanding and for more success each generation? So, Bregman busted through the door for guys like Allen, and then
yep,
Eddie and certainly Bobby winning a lot of stuff, and then Swain winning more stuff, and then
correct.
myself winning more than that, and then Jimmy winning more than that. It's just a constant. Not that Swain didn't win a lot because he took.
No, Swain too. No, Swain absolutely. Listen, Swain made it to the finals of the Worlds 3 times
in a row.
3 times in a row. That is that is insane.
Well, you were with him in '85.
I was with him at 85. I watched him
we were
beat
both
Koga
with him in '87.
Yeah.
And I was with him in '89.
Yeah.
Where I thought actually he fought Koga better in '89 than he did in '87. But it's refereeing interpretations.
Right. But I'll tell you what, it's Swain never backed away from anybody. I mean, you look at Koga, you figure it's just like the way when you fought Yoshida. I mean, you stood up to Uzuchimata. Now it's just like standing up to Koga.
Until he bombed me.
Well, listen, the truth is that Mike got bombed too. There's lots of videos of Mike getting bombed, but he got bombed enough where he said, okay, I'm not getting bombed this time. But he never backed away. He always went after him. It's different. It's like Nick getting bombed by Inoue. Nick didn't back away from Inoue. I told you before, I remember in Germany that at a training camp, I saw Nick just tool on him. Nick was good. I mean, it was Inoue's day. It was Yoshida's day. And when Mike beat Koga, it was Mike's day, right?
This is random side note, but were you with me in 2000 or '99 when Olsen was torturing Dima Falcon in that Spain camp?
Who he tortured? Who won the gold medal? What's his name? Huizinga. They have a great story about that. We're at a training camp. It was in Spain. This is the story, I think, if you're thinking about it.
It was the French guy.
No. It was for me. Listen. The first time he fought Huizinga, he threw him with his foot sweep, 5 times for Ippon. Now Huizinga obviously was a phenomenal player, and no one wins without having a big heart. So I grabbed him. I grabbed Olsen. I said, listen.
Oh, I remember this story.
I said, you're going to have to say no. He goes, what do you mean? He's going to ask you. I'm telling you, he's going to ask you again. He goes, Steve, I can't say no. I said, yes, I'm telling you, say no. 1 round later, Huizinga goes and Brian says yes. Brian throws him 4 times. Okay. Again, Brian, please say no. You got to say. He goes, I don't know how to say no. No, say no. Okay. Make a signal. Pretend you're hurt. Do something. You can't work with him again. So sure enough, that who's going to hit him 3 more times, and at the end, Brian couldn't throw him. And sure enough, in the Olympics, Brian hits Huizinga, and Huizinga, knows him well enough and doesn't throw him. And and I get it, and I don't blame Brian for it, but I had another similar situation when we were in Europe, and the Japanese coach went up to Jimmy and says, "Can you show me how you do your Juji Katani?" Oh. And Jimmy says, "What should I do?" I said, "Tell him no." He goes, "How do I say no?" You say no. We're not showing him your Juji. What? So they're going to show Nakamura how to stop your Juji? No, we're not showing it to him. Right. He goes, "I can't say no." I said, "Okay, show him something different then. You can't show it to him." It's funny. Yeah. Olsen had that great foot sweep, right? He had that great foot sweep. That was a left side foot sweep. It was awkward, but it was a great foot sweep. And if he got you moving backwards, he'd throw you with it.
I remember when he announced that. Basically, I realized, wow, he is something. It was at our Olympic workout in the 2000. I mean, that's when I think he was at his best. But he smashed me with that sweep. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, he's going to do something in this tournament.
Yep. Yep. And
He fought great.
like again, it's the day, right? It's the day. How interesting would it have been? It's so funny in '97, in his quarterfinal match, he had Japan, and the Japanese guy was a perfect fit for him. And I said, boy, Brian's going to tool this guy with. I know he's going to throw him perfect fit. And then Brian smashed him with the foot sweep. It was just so. It was pretty exciting.
Actually, like a left sticker almost. It wasn't quite the full. He caught it, and then
it's weird because he doesn't grab the foot. He doesn't even turn his foot. He like kicks it in a way. But what the heck? So it was quite exciting, that match, and that got him into that medal round. And boy, it was a fight. I don't know if I was coaching or begging that time. Brian, please don't get that next Shido. But listen, he did it.
That was against that Lithuanian guy, right?
Yeah.
So circle back around before we go on to our next topic. We were talking about you started off talking about the frustrations of not just USA Judo. And when we say USA Judo, we're not talking about specific people in the organization today, yesterday, or the day before. It's in general concepts, right, Steve? So,
well, what's the importance of capturing a moment? There's a moment in time that we want to remember. We don't get the pictures. We have no one there. You hired a photographer to come with us, right? And think about that. And I've got great pictures from '88. Great pictures from a guy who you hired and brought with.
Oh, that '88 guy wasn't. That guy is some random guy. I don't know who that guy is. That wasn't us.
Okay. When did you bring Lou?
2000.
Okay. So you hired. We had a random guy. Maybe Willie got him. I don't know.
No, it was just some random guy.
Some random guy. Okay. Anyway, we got some really good pictures in '88, and I mean, it's important, right? It's important. Even when I look at, I can't find really good pictures of the '80 Olympics. The picture I have of Vanderwall on the podium is a side view. It's a freaking side view. It's not even a front view. The picture I have of Bobby, which is a nice picture, it's a long shot. So you see him, it's grainy. Even Liddy, the one I have of Liddy is a long shot. It was in LA. We couldn't get a close-up picture of the podium.
Right.
It's really it's upsetting that we don't capture the moment with the view that at some point we're going to want to see this again.
Well, that's that specific thing. But what we were talking about is that as a group, a collective group, not just USA Judo, but a collective group, we don't celebrate our existence anywhere near enough. And that's exactly how you create fandom. That's how, you and I are sports fans, and you could run it back. We were both Raiders fans, so we could discuss that, right? We could run the Raiders all the way back to Jim Otto. we both know.
Listen, I watched I watch, I don't know if it's Instagram or Facebook, because I'm not really competent on social media, but I follow John McEnroe. When his first year up, when he was in his 20s or 19, when he looked like a baby playing against Connors. I like watching that.
He was 17.
17.
1977. Semis of Wimbledon.
Yep. And you hear his commentary then. Oh, it's just great to listen to.
Did you hear him? Did you hear McEnroe talk about Connors? Connors wouldn't even talk to him. He said he said Connors was an asshole.
Yeah. Yep. But he also said he's never met a tougher competitor.
Right.
And that's how it was. Connors wanted to win.
He didn't care that this is a nice little boy or anything. He was there to be cutthroat.
Listen, Connors is responsible for the money coming in tennis. I think years ago at the US Open, if you won, you got to watch. Connors challenged, I think it was Rod Laver, I'm not sure, to a $100,000 winner-take-all match when he was like 16 or 17. I don't know if my numbers are exactly right. I watched the match. I remember watching it. He challenged him for $100,000 and beat him. And all of a sudden, money started coming into tennis.
Was that before or after the Battle of the Sexes?
it was. I think it was before. I'm not sure. But
Bobby
I'm,
Riggs.
yeah, sure. Yeah,
But the
Lenny
point is,
Shelton.
we're
Yep.
fans, and
Yep.
we're only fans because it was put in our faces, and they continue. The US Open still runs that Connors clip in 91 when he made his
Yep.
run to the semis, right? That amazing clip when he was with the hands and he was up next to the stands with the crowd going mental when he made that run when he was, I think it was 39.
Yep.
But the point is, those moments are continually fed. So Jimmy Connors, McEnroe, Bjorn Borg, and whoever, Martina Navratilova, Chrissy Everett, are still relevant and important to the game, so people can add depth to their fandom. This is promotion 101.
It's
No,
interesting.
I could show, like, I have those pictures that you've been putting up, you've been posting. I mean, I
Yep.
have a book of all the Olympians, and I could show that book, and I have, and I randomly point to Joe Boast.
Yep.
No one knows who that is, or Tommy
Mhm.
Martin.
Right.
No one would know who that is, and that is a crime. I mean, especially in a small sport for us, and there's not that many of them, so they all should have. I think we discussed. I'm not sure if it was you or me, but instead of doing what they did, because Instagram. So this, I don't know if you know this, they can only put 10 pictures on Instagram, so they can't include in one post all the medalists, for example.
I didn't know you could put more than one in there.
Well, you can put 10, right?
Okay.
So,
I need help.
but the point is, you don't need to do one post. You could do one a day,
Yeah.
right? And then you could obviously go deeper in each person's, and that's just that's just a tiny little sliver. There's so many Brian Olsons out there that people should know. He was a phenomenal player.
Yep.
Just because he didn't win an Olympic medal, what does that mean? That's not a definition of a career. He was a 4-time Olympian. No one would know that. But he's pretty recent, right? He went all the way to 08.
When I was in Japan, I think the first Kano Cup I went to I couldn't go when I was a competitor because I couldn't, my son got sick and I couldn't leave. The only tournament I ever missed. But as a coach, I went there, and the first time I went there, they had this big screen in the stadium. It's a huge screen, and they're showing movies from the 60s, and the great judo players, Inokuma, Okano, all the great Sasahara, all the great, I mean, I don't know where that is. I've reached out a few times. How do I get a hold of those? And I can't get a hold of them. But there is some great videos. The French, the what now is the Paris Grand Slam, the Tournoi de Paris that we fought in, they videotaped every match. There's videos around of great judo players, and I mean, it's hard to imagine someone won the Olympics didn't fight in the French, right?
Right. Well, that was your barometer, right? French, and then randomly for
German.
me, I often fought the guys I fought at the French Open that very same year at the Olympics. That was a free thing, but it was common.
Right. No, if you're in the money in France, you're threatening the Olympics. It was funny. I spoke with Peter Palchuk from the Israeli team before COVID, and he won the French. And I was on the phone with him. I said, "Peter, how you doing?" This was like 3 months later. I said, "Listen, do you have any of that momentum left?" He goes, "No, it's gone. I was on fire. I won, and I was ready. I was ready. And I mean, you don't win the French by accident, right?"
Oh no.
Yeah. So he says, "No, I don't." And the truth is that he never had that chance again.
Didn't
Now,
he
of course,
take a bronze though somewhere?
Israel, the team. Well, he's won a bronze medal here, but in the Olympics, the team Israel won a bronze. They actually had they didn't do well individually, and they came together as a team, which is pretty cool, right? So as a team they got a medal, and it's an Olympic medal. It's pretty cool. But it's a real shame because he was on fire, and then because of the disease, everything stopped. It's like anything else. I mean, there were people in the United States, or people in different sports that didn't get to go in '80 that were at the top of their game. There were people in judo that were at the top of their game in '68 and couldn't go to the Olympics in '68 because they had to sit out a year. I mean, things happen, right? Just by
Well,
chance.
the 68 thing was because of demonstration sport, and then
Correct.
whatever the rule, I don't know if the rules are even the same anymore, but the rules back then were demonstration sport, you skip a year.
Yeah, and then you go, right, correct.
But for the women, 88 was demo. They were
Yep.
in full in 92. So
Correct.
obviously they changed that rule.
Yeah, I don't know if it's different if the sport is already in there. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I don't know if that's different, or if they changed it. If they changed it, I don't know what was going on with Title IX then at the time and how they were pushing it. I don't know how they did it with wrestling. Women got into wrestling pretty seamlessly, didn't they? I think
way later. I think it was
yeah, no, I know, but I think that I mean, if you remember, I mean, in '88 at the Olympic Village, the only really thing that we walked everywhere, right? And there was an area where you couldn't go in, and that was the Soviet bloc.
Oh, right.
Right? That was a Soviet bloc there, and then we walked where we wanted, and that was it. But in 2000, you couldn't walk through the village. There were buses.
Right.
I mean, there were so many more athletes, so many more sports. So you got to think about it. So now it's wrestling for men and women. Everything can men and women. Now you've got different, officials for men and women, and different. It just got so big, so big.
That's
So
why
really,
that's why it is what it is for us now with the cap. Right?
yeah,
There's only
without a doubt,
no division has more than 36 kids.
right.
In our day, it didn't. It could be whatever.
Well, right. Right. And after the breakup of the Soviet Union, obviously the countries, I was coaching after the breakup of the Soviet Union, and every competition, there were new countries. Never heard of them. Like, I never heard of Turkmenistan in '89. What's that? Turkmenistan, never heard of that. Yep. There's just new countries just evolving and coming in.
Although I will tell you, I would trade all these countries to get rid of Varia.
Listen, I had my own trouble with Verichev. Trust me, I don't disagree.
So we want to introduce a kind of a countdown. Steve and I are going to. I'm going to take 3. He's going to take 3. Our topic today is the 3 top rules in judo today that drive us crazy. So why don't I go first?
Go ahead.
So my third one would be the head dive. So it's gotten so bad today where the kids are just touching their head. And listen, all the other grappling sports, there's no issue with this head thing. But for some reason, and they and I don't know who they are, would be saying that that it's safety, right? But usually common sense tells you safety is when you do it to yourself, right? Not when Ari lost a recent match when the guy did a drop Sinagi. Ari just spun around off the drop Sinagi, and he barely touched his head. Hansakomaki, are you kidding?
Yeah, I have a real hard time when Tori when Uki moves Tori in a different direction. You know what I mean? Or something that they give it that way. Lots of times people are doing Uchimata or even Harai, and Uki then adjusts the situation, adjusts the angle.
Sure.
And then they go down and they still call the Hansokomaki. And that should never be. It should never be.
I never liked that rule from the beginning. When it's been around since. Was it around in the 80s?
So it's interesting. No, it wasn't in the 80s. It wasn't in the 80s. And even in it started, if you remember, in 2000, Jimmy did a lot of like somersaults in his judo. with his soda and his fireman's.
The firemen's,
And they didn't want that. You hit the back of your head. That you can't do that now either.
Well, they were calling that. Remember, like the Iron Sibia type stuff where he comes
Yep.
straight, and they were calling it without even touching the head. The
Yep.
fact that you went straight over.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, this rule has got to go. IGF,
Yeah.
get rid of this rule, the head diving rule.
Mhm.
If we're doing real stats about people getting hurt, I mean, I run a tournament. No one's ever gotten hurt. I've run a tournament for 20 years. How long you run your tournament, Steve?
Oh God, very long. 20, 30, whatever.
I
Forever.
appreciate the fact. I appreciate the safety idea. This rule's got to go.
Well, if you look at Sambo, wrestling, Greco, and the mats that they use, and there's no rules about hitting your head on the mat there.
So that's my
So
number 3.
I'll give you mine. I don't know if I have an order, but
Well, it doesn't have to be. Just start with one.
The fact that you could fall, someone could throw you on your stomach, and you could be a little bit turned to your side and on your stomach, and that could be a Wazari. I think you need to be going towards your back. I mean, if you hit your side and you're on that side of your back where your back doesn't go, but you're on that side. I mean, I don't like that either, but I could take that. But if you're on your stomach and you go to your side, and they're calling that Wazari, it just doesn't seem to me that you have a control or as a threat of someone going on their back. So I think I hope they change that. You know,
I guess I'll. So that's your number 3, but it's like a 3A or 3B type of thing. Because I'll springboard on top of your thing, and basically I don't like the scoring because of what you're saying. I mean, I think we had it pretty good the way it was. You should be able to score a lot of times in the match. Currently, right? Currently, you can only score. There could only be 3 scores in a match, and basically, in our day, it's 2 Yukos equals Ippon. Right?
You mean as of what we're seeing today?
Right. Those Wazari
I would
can be Yuko.
I would tell you that some Wazaris don't qualify as a Yuko because you had to be on your side. Yes, you had to be on your side for a Yuko. They're calling Wazari. You're not even fully on your side.
So I'm definitely I'm jumping on board with just moving a little step further. I just cannot stand the scoring. There should be like do you remember the match in 2001? It was Japanese kid against it was Makarov versus the Japanese guy.
Yep.
And you weren't there, but it was so exciting and there was so much action. And there had to be 6 scores in the fight, easily 6 scores. I think it was mostly Makarov throwing him around, but the Japanese guy maybe scored once and made it look like it was a close match. If you look back at it, it really wasn't that close. Makarov kind of killed him, but it was so awesomely exciting with all the different scores. In '89, Mochida and Variev scored on each other a bunch. I mean, there's a million of those matches that if we think about.
What about when Omegan fought?
I didn't see it. You were there for that.
I was there. Who was the
Japanese guy?
Who was he? You remember his name?
Oh, is it Hikage?
Hikage. In a 5-minute match, 4 minutes.
85.
Omegan scored on him like 6, 7, just torture.
What about our favorite match? Our favorite match is Bobby Berlin from the US fighting the Mongolian guy, 100 kilos. That guy must have had 6.
I think they ran out of. That was when they had the hand scores. They had to go to the other table and get more numbers. I think that's how bad it was.
And it was phenomenal. Back in the day, so that match would have been over, right? And we kept yelling, "Switch, switch!" because Bobby had a good Tani Otosh, obviously.
Oh God,
extreme
phenomenal.
left, and this guy just kept throwing Bobby over and over again. For it had to be at least 6 Yukos, right? Would you agree?
More. It was more. It was more.
But in the end, I don't know how much time was left. It was very close to the end. Bobby smashed him with this insane switch, right? What a match. I mean, you and I, that was in '88.
Yep.
You and I remember that. And funny dovetail, silly thing at the end. So Bobby was already the star, right? I was the up-and-coming guy. Bobby medaled once on that tour. I medaled in 4 tournaments. And the headline was Berlin takes bronze. Oh, yeah, Jason took first, second, third at the things. Remember that?
No,
That's where I think it
always.
started. What about me?
Yes. The that was and you know the story is that Bobby's elbow was hurt and Yanni
Yeah,
made him fight. He didn't want to fight at all, and
right.
he
And he
came
ended up taking
back and he
bronze.
took a bronze. Yeah,
He had a
yeah,
great, I mean,
yeah,
that was a great match.
yeah. That was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
We have some funny stories with Bobby fighting with
We got a ton.
oh god,
We got a ton
that's
of
for
those.
another day.
So that's
So
one.
another rule for me is that if you're doing a technique and your hand slips an eighth of an inch below the belt, they give you a penalty. It's not a leg grab if you're touching someone's butt or their side. It's just not a leg grab. So I just think that if they're gonna grabbing the leg, outlaw grabbing the leg. But if your hand slips below the belt in a technique, to negate the technique and give the person a penalty seems to be a little much for me. I don't like that at all.
Dovetail with that. In fact, I think they had the rule, that leg grabbing rule, down pat from I believe it was 8 to 12 or 12 to 16. It might have been 8 to 12, where you could do wrap in like a soda and still grab the leg. So if you engage, you could still grab the leg.
Yep.
Like, I mean, we took out all of Teguruma's, which you know, the
Yep.
Delgados, the Bulin type moves.
Yep.
That are just phenomenal moves and very technical. It's not a goon move at all. It's very technical, you know, to counter Uchimata. So I'm with you with that. I just I think they should go back, and I think personally, because the leg grabbing thing never bothered me personally. Although you could say that because I was a stand-up judo player, that all the groveling stuff bugged me, but you never had trouble with that. I never really had trouble with that.
No.
And it takes away
The only trouble I had is how the referee looked at it. Sometimes referees didn't understand. That was the difficulty for us. But as far as getting thrown by a leg pick, no.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that's a whole other issue. In fact, like I think Irwin did it. I'm not sure if you ever did that, but maybe you did more when you were lightweight. But the left on right kochi, when you can't grab the other guy's hand, but so then you scoop the ankle.
Oh yeah.
Ankle pick. Did you used to do
Yep.
that as well?
Yeah, a little bit, not much.
Did Irwin do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we both did it a little bit, but
So if you can't touch the other guy's
yeah.
sleeve, I mean, you're two extremes, right? You move out and then you catch it, and
if you use a technique and you're following through the technique with the leg, that's a different thing than just going and grabbing the leg.
I agree. And what about, like you just said, Jimmy's fireman's or Kataguruma? I mean, those techniques were so pretty. Quality come in, and the ton of guys would stand up and then do that roll. I mean, what a neat technique. And we never saw that stuff before that era. And it was so cool, right?
So the thing is that no matter what you do, the guys that pick up the legs are going to find something else to pick up, right? So now we have people hugging each other, lifting them up, twirling them around. It's as much not judo as grabbing the leg is not judo, right? You know, they're bear hugging. There's so many judo things where people are they're so strong, they're picking up, they're grabbing the belt, they're lifting people up and throwing them. I'm fine with that. But I mean, at what point do you say, okay, either everything's okay or everything's not okay? You know, I mean, I still, I think good judo is always going to win. I think a good Uchimata beats everything. You know, a good Tayatoshi, a good Osoto. I mean, having different people from different countries play differently is fine. It's what makes judo so interesting. So I get it that they say we don't want judo to be wrestling. Fine, that's okay. But like I said, you start taking away gripping rules, people will find it's going to affect people differently. Someone's going to have an advantage when you grip. The rules are always going to benefit somebody and not benefit someone. It's just the way it is. Let us play.
So I guess, I mean, I dovetailed on yours because you kind of took my my rules that I don't like. I just elaborated, but another one I hate is the stepping out of bounds thing. I've always hated that. When there's action and you step out of bounds, just bring them back in. I mean, there's clear and obvious stalling, running away. I mean, it's not that hard to educate an official to understand backing away or stalling, as opposed to inadvertently stepping in the whatever different color mat. And I hated it back then, right? Because back in our day, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was a time when stepping out was a keikoku.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yep.
And then they cut it down to chewy. Now it's a
Yeah,
Shido,
and
but
that's
it only takes 3 Shidos for you to be booted. So that's huge.
Well, to think that you could lose and you see it with like non-combativity. You know, you're in the 14th minute of a golden score, you know, and you're dead tired, world championship, and someone took 16 seconds before they made an attack, and you're going to give them a Shido for non-combativity. I think that let the players play. If someone escapes the mat area for safety in the situation, give them a Shido. Okay. If the action of the match has someone step out, let them come back in, you know, and let them play. Yeah, I feel that way too. I don't like the idea of looking for penalties. Let the flow of the match go, and let the players decide the match the most you can. I prefer that. Deguchi lost in the I don't know if it was the World she lost or whatever, and she lost with the Shido for non-combativity in the last
That was the
last
World.
Worlds.
She
And
lost
I just
the Korean girl. Although
the
before you continue on that Korean girl celebration was so cute.
yeah,
Remember her? That was
she won the Worlds. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, before I forget, well, I'm going to skip over you. My number one pet peeve now is when and I don't know who's telling who what and why they're saying this, is the second somebody wins in a big throw, the referee's in the athlete's face not to celebrate. What is that? That is insane. Insane. We watch all sports for the drama, the emotion. Every poster, every ad for, okay, who's going to win the next match? There's a guy going, or, you know, we want to see that. I want to see somebody win and run around the mat like in wrestling. What is this thing that we have? And again, I know you'll agree with me. You can say something in a second, but why are we, why are the refs in suits? Why are we like we're going to a dinner party or something? I don't understand the
And coaches.
thing. And the coaches.
Yeah.
I don't get that at all.
We'll put that just aside for 1 second and go into the celebration and stuff. Tell me what. Give me a poster.
I interrupted you with Deguchi.
That's okay. That's well. I'm just saying that the referee decided that match. Deguchi's not someone who stalls. She is. She plays. If it's extreme, if she's on the mat and she's fixing her hair and she's slow to get up, okay, that's fine. But that's not the case.
You mean like Tommy Martin tying his belt?
Tommy Martin tying his belt. No question. But I mean, I'm sure you remember Connors, getting on his toes with his hands up after winning a major, a major point. I mean,
what are you talking about? What about the most famous basketball moment in your history and for the Bulls when Jordan hit that shot and he jumped up on the table?
Yep.
What an amazing! I mean, I'm not a Jordan fan. I love watching that scene, and he gets up at the table.
Yeah.
He's going like that.
Right.
Phenomenal.
It was funny. The first time I remember a Cuban kid, Manolo Pulo. He won a gold medalist.
In 99.
He won
because you were there.
And after he threw his opponent, and he stood up and he ran and he jumped into his coach's arms right there. And I thought it was so freaking cool. I was there. It was so, and I knew him, and he's a great kid. But how exciting is that? I want to see that, right?
Of course.
That is something you want to see. That, so that's a highlight film. That's something you start to. We're watching judo today, and you start showing those films of these guys jumping up and stuff. Yeah, that's
Steve. That's the moment. I mean,
yep.
Obviously, in football, it goes to a certain degree, but they allow, because people want to see the kid in the end zone doing something, a backflip, some sort of icky shuffle, some sort of dance, right? I mean, or how all the teams come together, they pretend they're rowing a boat, or they're doing all kinds. One time the kids all got together, and one guy did pretend he was bowling, and he knocked the other 10 guys down.
Yeah. That's all. But that's like a planned thing that they do.
Sure.
but
But they didn't plan to score that touchdown.
No. But the sheer emotion where you lose yourself and your hands going up, you lose yourself in that, where you run and jump in someone's arms. That's the emotion I love. The picture of you winning your semifinal match, of Bobby winning a semifinal match. It's just freaking.
That's the Swain winning the Worlds. Remember?
Yeah,
He's like
yeah,
this.
yes, right.
What an iconic. I mean, I have that poster in the house. I mean, I should have a poster of all these guys.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Unless I'm going sideways here on you.
No. But I mean
unless
that
Bobby
emotion,
himself promotes himself and makes a poster, I'm never
Right.
going to have that moment, so I can share with others that in my dojo.
The truth is, they tried to promote Bobby after '84, and it just didn't go with USA Judo, or whoever the judo was then. Believe it or not, it's always been an uphill battle, as you know. It's always an uphill battle. I don't know why.
At the very least, there should be physical content, physical paper copy of photos of these guys somewhere in a book, in something that's physical, that could be in every.
Well, so there are photos in magazines, that are that I have on a hard drive, but they're so grainy and they're not great. It's not like if we had an organization like the NFL or the Major League Baseball, or stuff, or NBA, where they take pride in those moments. That's how they market their sport. That you want to be like Mike.
Steve,
I
don't have it here, but I have a Ken Stabler
the snake,
plaque, signed by him in my office, because
I get it.
And that's '70s, right? Of course, I got Larry Bird all over the place, right? But
I told you,
you're able to have that, and that's how you are a fan.
Yep. It's something we miss horribly.
Ugh.
We miss horribly, and it goes back to our beginning story and when we started, right? We just don't get it. We don't get it. And of course, I'm horribly upset. I call you right away. What the heck? Who's doing this? Who won't take the 3 minutes to go onto Google and get the names, get the pictures, do something? I have them all. I mean, it's very, very upsetting to me, and it's not because it's because I know whoever it is, the sacrifice these guys made, and fortunately they made it with Bobby and Liddy and Alan, certainly Bregman, right? I mean, the sacrifice that everyone made, the girls, it just is forgotten there, and it bothers me. It just bothers me,
Why wouldn't it? It bothers all of us.
Yeah.
I mean,
take the time. Yeah, take the freaking time and do it right. We're going back to '92. Why? '92. Why? Why not? Go back to '64. I mean, why?
At least I made the cut.
Unless you made the cut. Well, obviously, you must have known someone. Because when I was coaching with you, they would have held you out by design.
By design, yeah, that's for sure.
They would have gone out of their way. But we'll put Jason in next year.
They would have stopped at, what was it, '96?
Yeah, God. Yeah, it's a mistake, and I think we just don't understand. We don't understand. And it was funny, and I will tell you that Aaron called me and said, we can bet on judo now. I said, no. What do you mean? He goes, they give odds and you can bet. I said, you're kidding. He says, give me someone to bet on. We're talking and we're going over names, and I'm telling them, and we're talking judo, right? We're talking judo. What are the odds? What are the odds? And he says, Deguchi's a big favorite. I said, what's billeted? Well, she's not really that big bet on billeted. She won the European. She was on fire. Watch billeted this year. I'm a Deguchi fan. I love Krista Deguchi, but I'm telling you, billeted's going to be a tough go this year. So I mean, it's fun to talk judo with people that know it, and we should be doing it more often, and we should be the culture, the coaches, the senseis, the teachers, all of them should be introducing this to the kids. You know, when I was in grammar school, when we had gym during the World Series. Now I'm talking about in the '60s, Jay. They had this cart on a wheel, a black and white TV. My gym teacher would bring it in, and during gym class, probably for him, he'd plug it in, and we watched the World Series. And it was so cool. You know, we got to watch, you know, what are you doing in the gym today? We're watching the World Series. I remember watching Bob Gibson pitch, you know, I mean, how cool is that, you know? And we don't do that.
Steve, you know, I just had an image of Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, right.
Remember when he faked
Bob Gibson? Yeah, yes, he did. I remember it well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you sent me that clip of Jack Nicholson accepting some award while he was filming that, so he couldn't go.
Right, and he wasn't that funny?
That just came out, and you never saw that back then, right?
I just saw it, and that's why I sent it to you.
But that is so neat, and it was buried back in the day. But now, because of Instagram and Facebook and all the neat social media, we are now seeing that. It's just like, rest in peace, Bob Newhart, wonderful comedian, love him. But you can the best ending of TV ever, right? You can find it on YouTube in 2 seconds, and it's actually being replayed over and over and over again. If you've never seen the Bob Newhart shows, he has 2 shows. It's random that it worked this way, but at the end of the run of the second show, he wakes up in the first show. The best ending of a show ever. Remember, it
was a dream.
Family.
Yeah. Right.
The second show was a dream.
Classic.
Unbelievable.
Remember I sent you a video of a pitcher who's older now, telling a story about him throwing a pitch, and he said he knew this guy hit him every time, but he's going to get it this time.
Oh yeah.
And his mom called him in the locker room, whatever. I don't remember the whole story, but I mean, listening to those old stories is just fun. And again, we miss it in judo. We should get Bregman on here. We should talk to Bregman.
Oh, absolutely, we will.
And just, you know, I want to know what it was like for him in Japan. I want to ask him those questions. We could relate. There was one time.
I wonder if he knows how to use Zoom.
Yeah, I think he could use it. I remember one time, I know we're running long, but I was sitting outside of a Cohen laundry in 1985. Me, Bobby, Brett Barron, I don't know who else we were with, maybe Joe Marshall. And it was our 3rd week in Japan, maybe 4th, and we're doing 2-a-days. And of course, in the 80s, it took you like 4 or 5 hours to wash and dry your gi. And we're sitting there and says, all right, we're leaving in a few days. What would it take for us to stay 1 more week? How much money? We're thinking $100,000. Nah, I'm not staying here for $100,000. I got to get home. I'm going home. $500,000. I got to think about it. I mean, it was tough. It was hard. I mean, it's a culture shock for everyone, for us, because, you know, no matter how hard you're working, you're not doing 30 rounds a day with a fresh guy every round who's trying to kill you. It's a war in Japan. It's just a war, you know.
Awesome. Well, I think
all right. We got. I hope so. It was fun. Like a phone call.